Check 1, 2. Okay. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. They're online.
I show up. Out of respect.
Oh, that's easier, especially this time.
Is there we go. I'll show you up in the corner. So should we read it again?
Lovely, you're the best, thank you. And then just tell if you can give it to Kayla.
Yeah.
Good morning, gals, how are you? Can you guys hear? Oh, yeah, you can, okay, hi, Zoe. It's a show, so good. So, we're gonna talk about the scheduling and building a routine for success. So I've had a lot of questions on this, through the year, and, I've gone through it with quite a few people. So I think, the big building blocks of this is, just having, your schedule built, and what's the difference between a schedule and routine. I think some of you, or whoever's seeing this might have took my routine earlier, but really what we're talking about is building something that is repeatable, doable over and over again, and that we can, have a easier time building out those routines, so, and schedules. So, in today's fast-paced world, we understand the difference between a routine and, what is a schedule is a key to mastering productivity. A lot of people mix in both. And then you're trying to mix in your work-life balance. So really I'm hoping for you to guys get out of it today. No two routines or schedules are going to be the same. It used to be where people taught this is the way you have to do it. This is the only way to do it. And I think right now that in society, we have to just be a little more flexible, especially with all the technology that you guys have available to you today. It's important to kind of get the difference. Kayla will be sending out the printouts that you guys are getting, so you guys can work on it. And we're gonna take a couple minutes and work on that. But basically, the first part is, what is a routine? A routine refers to a set of consistent actions or behaviors that integrate in your daily life over time. So what does that mean? Making your bed every morning is a routine. Exercising every day is a routine. A work habit, what is a good work habit? A work habit or something routine is that you're reading 15 minutes a day of, of any work related improvement. So maybe you're trying to improve on public speaking, maybe you're trying to improve on something that you are working on, your buyer presentation, your listing presentation, something that you're working on every day. That is a routine as opposed to a scheduled action. So sorry, I just got stuck here. So, a routine provides a sense of stability and structure. helping to ground your day while allowing some flexibility. So why routines are so important is because you get used to it and it's something that you don't think about. So I'll go back to example of, say you're working on your personal enrichment for work every single day. If you're doing that day in and day out, I bet you by a month, if you do that a month straight, by the end of that month, you're not going to think about it anymore. It's just something that you do every day. So I want to make sure that you guys are getting that the difference between a routine is not something that you are going to change. Something in your schedule is something that's going to change possibly on a daily basis. So, in 2024, with increasing focus on personal well-being and adaptability, to be adaptable, routines have become really essential for maintaining like your mental clarity, managing your stress, and obviously boosting your long-term productivity. you know, and if your routines can evolve with your lifestyle, making them ideal for those that want to be reliable but adaptable approach to managing their day. So, again, routines are great. I think you can incorporate a lot of your personal goals along with, uh, your work goals if you can maintain a routine that you can work at every single day. So, what is a schedule? It's a more fixed and time-bound plan that dictates when a specific task or activity needs to happen. Your work commitments, that means, you're meeting with a client, you are working on your CMAs, you're making your daily calls, you're working on your deadlines, you have an inspection due, you're going to have a CMA due, your meetings, you're putting in, your Kent North morning meetings, you're putting in your accountability, you're doing your 13 days of success. Those are meetings. And then collaborative projects, you're doing a pumpkin patch, you're doing a collaborative, you know, marketing plan with your coworker. Anything of that is something that you schedule. So, your schedule just ensures that you're going to meet your obligations and stay efficient in coordinating various tasks. However, unlike the routine, schedule leaves little room for adjustment, focusing on rigid timing to maintain the productivity. So if you have an 11:30 a.m. meeting, you have to be there at 11:30. So you have to make sure that whatever you're scheduling, you're sticking to, and you're being really rigid about that, whether it's meeting with a person or just scheduling time for you to work on a task. That is something that you have to make sure that you adhere to. So, as we're moving into 2025, blending your routine with a structured schedule is becoming a popular approach for individuals looking to manage their time effectively while maintaining your personal flexibility and accountability. So, to sum it up in like really simple terms is don't mix up with your routine with your schedule. Okay. Your schedule and your routines are two different things, but you have to look at your goals as a whole first in order to get a proper routine and schedule. And a balance. You want to have a balanced routine, that you can create a good synergy, that you can do productivity and personal well-being. In our fast-paced world, we have a lot of things going on, especially as real estate agents. You're going to drive the focus, and you have to make sure that you're driving your focus and adaptability. Because if your schedule is not adaptable, I mean, the real life scenarios is, your client calls and says, I want a CMA right now because I want to sell my house. I want to, you know, you went under contract over the weekend and you have to now fit in time to do the inspection, and the inspection never comes at a really good time. It is always in the middle of the week or in the evening or in the morning, sometime when you have something already scheduled. So you have to see how to maintain that balance. So assessing your current situation, and this is where I want to have a little bit of more of a open conversation is, you know, reflect on the habits that are good. And you're trying to do your imbalances. Sometimes it's just a matter of you not scheduling it. Um, so say you have a goal in mind, Ramona, what's a good goal that you have in mind that you haven't been doing? Not to call you out, but
For my clients.
okay, so that's a great one. So calling your clients. If you have your routine down, right, you work, say, you say you did your morning things. You wake up, you make your bed, you brush your teeth, you clean your house, whatever that looks like for you. Go walk your dog, you get ready for the day. You have to give yourself enough time to get into that. You read your book, you do your daily affirmations, whatever your situation is. And now, when you're scheduling your client time, schedule it at a time that works for your schedule. See, some people have, like Ishel, you probably have, you have to go drop off your son in the morning, or you have to go to school. Zoe, you have you have to feed your daughter, and you have to do everything that there's a certain routine that you guys have to adhere to, right? You're walking your dog. So when we're doing this is identify what your routine is. So a lot of the times, and again, not to pick on it, why are we doing other tasks like being on our phone? And I'm guilty of it, being on our phone while we're in class. And I'm not picking, right? But what we do is we don't schedule these times blocks that we are just doing that one task. And what happens is while we're making the calls, you get a text and you're like, oh, it's a client, I have to answer it. And then you're like, oh, that was an emergency. And then you go off track. And then now that hour that you had for your calls, you basically did 10 minutes of work. Tell me that's not true. So we have to this is the hardest thing. And I can honestly tell you, this is one of the hardest things that I've had to learn, and the hardest thing that it took me the longest time to create. But now I have a routine. I can tell you my routine. I wake up, I immediately go work out. While I'm working out, I listen to my daily affirmations, my motivational videos or whatever while I'm working out, or I'm listening to a podcast. I get ready for the day. I eat what I'm going to eat. And the night before, I have all my clothes laid out. I know what I'm going to wear the following day. I know what things I need to do. I put next to my bag, I put my keys, my wallet. I put everything that I need to take to work. If I have to get a binder, if I did a report, anything, I leave it all in one package. So when I leave the house, I just grab it and go. Sometimes I'll even stick the things like, I need to bring in, a keg to work, whatever I have to do, I put it in the car already. So when I wake up and I go, how many times have we gotten in the car, we're rushed, we're looking for Keith, we get in the car, and then the gas tank isn't full. And the gas is on empty. And now you're even more late. it's part of a routine that we have to get used to thinking ahead of what the situation is, right? So anyway, so that's the routine that I follow every day. Then I get to work and I'm here by 8:30. Between 8:15 and 8:30. The first thing I do is read all the pertinent emails. I prioritize my emails, and I'm just giving you an example. I'm not saying to follow this, but I'm just saying you have to structure your day based on your life. So this is my life. I'm very fortunate in life that I can do this now, but I understand. I've had kids, I've had the dogs, I've had the animals, I've had the things in our life that get in the way. Anyway, so I get here, first thing I do, I read my emails, I prioritize what emails are important and what are not. I physically write down tasks that I have to do during the day that are little things that come up that are not in my schedule. Once I get that, I take a look at my calendar and make sure I have everything that I'm prepped for future later appointments that day or that week. I get those done. So when I have the appointment, I am already ready for the next appointment, ready for the next appointment, ready for the next appointment. On Mondays, let me back up. On Mondays, I take a look at my whole week's calendar and I also write down the tasks of things that I have to get done and out of the way to make myself more efficient through the week. What happens is now I'm scheduling things like my marketing plan. You guys see my marketing plan. I have a specific time every Tuesday at 9:15. I'm looking only at my marketing. That's part of my routine now. But 9:15, I'm always looking. I spend 45 minutes on just creating what I'm going to do for my marketing for the whole rest of the week and the following week. So it's just about maintaining. And it's the hardest thing to do. But once you get in that rhythm, it flows out. So once I get done with my emails, then I start calendars, whether I have class to teach like today, whether I have to do a client meeting, whether I have to do an agent meeting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All the events I have to attend, I already know. And if I'm thinking about it, I already know that I have two events the next day. That night, I make sure that I have the right clothes and ready and everything else. So I'm not thinking about, oh, what should I wear this morning? I mean, sometimes I used to sit there for like 10 minutes looking at my closet going, what the heck am I gonna wear? It's just you're wasting time instead of thinking about it on a downtime when you're like, oh, yeah, that's right. Because the other thing I used to do, and I mean, I do I'm giving you an example of something so easy, but my dry cleaning wasn't, I'm thinking I'm gonna wear this suit with this shirt, this, that, and the dry clean, I didn't go to the dry cleaner. And then you're like, oh, okay, now what do I wear? Now you're scrambling. No, I don't. Oh, I forgot that my shoes were dirty. I need to polish my shoes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that's kind of one of those things that you have to start separating. What's your routine? Do you even have a routine? Because once you do have a routine, you'll start seeing that you start making those changes. Yeah. So defining your priorities. So I don't know if Kayla sent that out to you guys already. But
Gonna send this slide?
I can send the slides to you if you want. So SMART goals, for your worksheets, and we can work on it a little bit, you know, literally write out what specific goals, right? SMART goals are specific, what you want to actually achieve, who's involved and who's responsible, where is it taking place, and why is it an important goal? The second one is measurable. How are you tracking your progress? The biggest thing is, a lot of times, we don't track our goals. You know, we're not really looking at it. So what are your key performance indicators or KPIs? It could just be like, look, if I have a goal to call 200 people a month or a week, you know, then you break it down to 20 people a day, or however you want to do it. And look, I know the real world. You have client meetings, this happens, you had scheduling things. Great. Say you did not make your goal of that day. Well, guess what? It has to go on the rest of the 4 days of the week, or the 2 days, or 1 day. But somewhere along the line,
Gotta make up for it.
you gotta make up for it. Because then, now, on our bigger goals of, say you wanna close 10 deals a year, now you're gonna close 9 because you didn't get the numbers that you needed to go there. So I think you guys understand that. Achievable. Give you guys yourselves achievable goals. Like, you know, achievable goals, it could just be like, I just wanna read 15 minutes a day of personal work enrichment. That's a great goal. But if you start off as, I'm gonna read an hour a day, you don't do it, you fail it, and then you're just like, forget it. F it, like, I'm good. I don't wanna do it anymore. The reason we do that as human beings is because we don't get that satisfaction. Another thing, when I started learning these traits, is I would give myself a little treat. If I did it, I'd give myself like a Hershey's Kiss or something, or a candy, something. It's something weird. Yeah, but it's something so psychological, or whatever, or when I finish this, I can eat.
Yeah,
When I finish this, I can have a beer. When I finish this, it's just a little treat. It's something psychological when you work and then you get it, and then you're like, that's your reward. It doesn't have to be monetary anything. It just, that helps you kind of get to where you want to go. It has to be relevant. Guys, I can't tell you how many times us as agents, you guys come in as an agent, and you tell me I'm gonna do this, and it's not relevant to your business.
give me an example.
Well, you make calls, right? You
Yeah.
love making calls.
Yeah.
But.
I don't know if I love it, but I do it.
No,
Yeah,
but that's my point.
Actually, like the guru.
Yeah,
Inspired.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying is, sometimes we go in and we make these goals. I'm like, I'm gonna knock on 30 doors today, this week. I'm like, why?
yeah.
Because
What's
it
gonna do
doesn't-
for your-
Like, that'd be like you knocking on doors when your expertise is phone calls. Or you making door knocks when yours is network. We all have our gifts. Like, doesn't match your,
Not to.
no, but doesn't match your goal. Right? Doesn't match, like, if you're trying to close 10, 20 deals a year, it doesn't matter. The number doesn't matter.
Yeah,
You're trying to close 20 deals a year. And then all of a sudden you're doing a food drive that has nothing to do with your business. Like, it doesn't match your business model, doesn't match your business criteria. You know, these work goals especially have to match your business. Like,
When you
I mean,
say
you-
that, sorry,
no, go ahead.
no,
it's
no,
about matching your strengths or your.
Absolutely.
Successful.
yeah,
Okay,
Because anything can work, you know,
Right.
food drive could work for networking or whatever, but yeah, is that your strength or is that where you wanna?
or it's a way of exposure, you know. like-
Yeah,
and I'll mention this, and Ramona and I had this conversation this week, and I think it's vitally important for you guys to really think about this is, what is your gift? If your gift is open houses, some people are way better. You just have to admit what it is.
I
Some
think
people are
people-
great at open houses. Do nothing but open houses. Be Alberta.
Sometimes
Yeah.
people get lost
Yeah.
and they feel like, oh my God, what next? So they will do anything that
Yes,
sounds like, okay, activities, but
yeah.
like you say, if they don't match your strength and your skills, I don't do open houses.
I hate open
I hate
houses.
open-
I forgot the last time I've done one. It's been 9 years.
And here,
I have no interest.
and here you have the opposite. Now, I'll give Zoe props. Like Zoe got a great potential for $2 million property from an
No,
open
and I
house.
watched Zoe over the weekend, I
Yeah.
saw that and I was impressed.
But that's what I'm saying. Everybody has their gifts.
Yeah.
Like Ishel does women's groups. That's amazing. You're
Yeah.
good at doing groups. So doesn't match, you keep it relevant because your business is different. Everybody's business is different. So keep it relevant to what you want. And then time bound. When are you gonna start working on the goal? When are you gonna finish it? What results do you want from that? Right? Period. So I gave you guys a worksheet.
Are we gonna work on this or is this for?
Yeah, you guys want a few minutes to work on
Any available agent, there's an up-call on 601. Any available agent, up-call 601. Thank you.
it? So,
No wonder.
yeah,
Well,
do a SMART goal.
Won't
Did
get
you
it,
guys
you know.
get the worksheet online?
No yet.
Okay,
You mean
Well-
the time blocking?
no, the SMART goal. And the back.
Oh,
So do one or two goals that are specific. That you guys want to, I'll give you guys 3 minutes to work on it. We're just gonna work on and just think about. Um. I'll give you guys 3 minutes to work on it and then we'll just talk about it real quick. And this is all you're doing. So really in a session where you are, you're time blocking your goals. Maybe make time like an hour where you're only gonna work on your goals and what you wanna do. I'll make sure you guys out for the class get the goal sheet. But just work on it for an hour and then set your goals. And I'll show you how to do the bigger kind of time blocking piece of it. All right, so when we work on our SMART goals, we're just gonna write them down and then we're gonna start applying them. So I would just apply one or two a week, or maybe even one. Just apply one SMART goal and then start developing it. And I'm happy to send you guys these slides too, so. Designing a flexible schedule, so I think this is a hard one for everybody. But what I did is, and you can have this big time block calendar. Like this, da da da. So time blocking techniques, so. Let me talk to you about, in my opinion, what the real world time blocking is. Time blocking for you is, and you actually do a decent job of time blocking for when you do calls. That's
I
a
try to do a decent job.
No, but you do. He comes into the office, he sits down, he goes and he starts calling. But can you do that with all your other tasks? So I think that's where the difference is. So you already have the habit.
The phone
No.
usually gets in the way
No.
of itself.
No, but then, well, and maybe that's part of it too, right?
Instagrams and social media, yeah.
Well, I think that's part of it. Our phones have the capability of just putting it on work mode or busy mode.
Yeah.
Guess what? Because the distraction comes from, and I do it too. I mean, I just did it 2 seconds ago. It's a hard habit to break. But you see the email, the little ping comes off on your phone, and then guess what? You just like automatically feel like you have to leave.
For me, it's like I don't even control myself. Like I'm sitting there, I'm like, how am I? I've literally had moments where I'm like, how am I on Facebook? Like my like automatic. I get you. I'm like, how am I on Instagram? What? Like I had a few times where I'm like,
But I think admitting is the hardest part, right?
How many
I-
people know?
3. Is that a third?
No, I don't.
No, but that's what I'm saying is if you can. Baby steps, right? We can start training ourselves when we say, we're gonna make a calls for an hour.
Yeah.
And then you literally turn off all your socials, turn off everything, put it in busy mode. Put it on, you can put your phone in a mode where you can't receive calls during that time
Yeah.
Or silence it
or silence it. It's hard because you feel like you're missing out. You get this big FOMO. But guess what? Most things, unless you have a closing that very day or a few days before, most things are gonna be okay once you get up, you do your time blocking.
Yeah.
Even your girlfriend is like texting you someone.
Yeah,
I do
no,
it where I just allow my wife to
No.
call in, and other than that, I don't. There's a
but
you can
you,
select people
you,
who
you can
want.
select people who you can do. But the point is getting into that habit of honoring that time.
Discipline.
Is
Yeah.
discipline, because if you get that time block, if you're working on your marketing for an hour, which is super important, then you should honor that hour. You're only honoring yourself. So making sure your schedule is balanced, because you already did the routine things that you needed to do. Setting up when you're gonna do your walks, your workouts, your this, that, and everything else. That's something super
It's
key.
becoming easier. The
It-
more you do it, the more it's becoming
Yeah.
automatic. You know.
So, using your time management by incorporating techniques like time blocking, the Pomodoro method, which we're gonna talk about, and single tasking, using productivity tools, we have so many. I personally just use my calendar, but
You use one?
just my Google Calendar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The Pomodoro technique, was a time management method developed by Francisco Cirillo in the 80s, to maintain focus intervals, typically like 25 minutes long. Just based on, what we are as humans, we follow a short break and, you would take a 5-minute break. You would go on your Instagram for 5 minutes or Facebook for 5 minutes, kind of to give you that time break. I do it too. Throughout the day, you'll see me just all of a sudden just go on Instagram, on Facebook, do things that you want to do, but I just literally 5 minutes
Yeah.
and then I'm back to it. Because that's the other thing about today. And Instagram was a big time killer for me. It used to be, because I would get on and I'd be on for like an hour and a half. I'd be like,
Yeah, when you check your screen time at the end of the day, you're like 9 hours.
yeah. So I mean, I think it's something that you have to think about and be really proactive about, what your time management is, you know.
Isn't that when you have it on, that nobody is on Instagram for 9 hours?
Well, maybe not on Instagram. Screen time overall, you're right, if your whole phone is on, but I've been surprised plenty of times when I check where you can check specific apps. And throughout the day, you're like 2 hours on it, 2.5. I'm like, that's,
No, actually, my husband pointed that, and I was like, there is no way, what are you talking about? Of course
Yeah.
I've done. And he was like, well,
look.
and I'm like, it's always on, I never turn off any of those apps, so
Oh.
I'm assuming that's. what
No,
it is.
screen time though is usually when you're on it though, only.
Yeah.
It's 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, and it just adds up. I don't know, do a test maybe.
Yeah, no, do it. I challenge you guys to do a test. It's a good thing. Like, make sure all your apps are off,
Right,
and then just look at it and just really start being conscientious about how much time you spend. It's true. 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes, 2 hours from there, 10 minutes from 2 hours from there, 10 minutes, it's an hour a day. It adds up.
yeah.
You do it 6 times through the day
And
for
then you say, oh,
10.
I don't have time for A, X, Y, Z. And
But the
like,
same applies towards something positive.
Yeah.
5 minutes here, 5 minutes, 2 hours from now.
I was
you know.
actually gonna say the same thing.
Yeah.
15, I got taught a great method. 15 minutes a day of reading or learning about something, a subject matter, ends up being like 65 hours a year.
Yeah,
well,
that's a lot.
It's a lot.
Solid
But
week.
if you're working on time management for 15 minutes a day for the whole year, you'll have 65 hours. By that
Right.
time, you're going to be pretty decent at time management. If you're working on marketing, 15 minutes a day. If you're shooting videos, you just
Yeah.
15 minutes a day that's 65 hours of content a year.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
And I think often it will take you even less time. Like I started calorie tracking almost 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't care how much I eat, as long as I track it, like I'm just gonna face reality, you know?
Yeah.
that's actually a very good, that's what I'm doing.
It helped me lose 20 pounds. I'm
Yeah.
on like day 53, and it was just because I realized, dang, I eat like 4,000 calories a day, and now I'm at
But you
2,040.
made it a habit and you made it a routine.
Yeah,
Right,
So that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Now it's a routine for you.
yeah.
to
Now
look
it's
at-
just second.
it's becoming
in.
second
Yeah,
nature.
It's second nature. So now that's part of your routine.
yeah,
You're not diverting from anything else. Does that make sense?
yeah, yeah.
Now it's day in, day out. You're
And that
coming-
really helped me focus just over the last week. I've been thinking about it where I'm like, hey, just like it was for me with calorie tracking, same thing in business, just do a little bit, a little bit.
Little
Start
bit,
with a little
bit.
Yeah.
So if you take the 25 minutes and take a step, work on a single task, set the timer literally to 25 minutes. You can do it on your phone, anything else. Take a 5-minute break and repeat this 3 or 4 times. Take a longer break from 1 to 30 minutes after a cycle and then repeat.
So like it's at 25 minutes, or is that a different thing from what you just
No,
said? The
no,
25
it's,
minutes and then 5 minutes.
Yeah, take a 5-minute break and do it 3 or 4
Yeah.
times. Because you'll find that the task doesn't feel as daunting.
Yeah,
And again, I used to do it in the way of when I did it and I gave myself a treat. I'd buy, like during the day, you'll see me snack on a piece of candy because I'm like, okay, I finished the task and like this morning. This morning I came in a little earlier because I had to get a task done. I got it done and then I was like, okay, now I can take a little coffee break. And then I took a coffee break and then went on got ready for class.
The hardest thing to overcome when you do that is you need to leave your phone in a different room.
Well, that's what we've been talking about.
You have to leave your phone in a different room.
Yeah.
If it's in front of you like that, you're always,
yeah,
looking at it.
always
Disturbing.
always on it.
It
Yeah,
interrupts your flow.
yeah. There's a few times where I throw the phone across.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's true.
I use the office phone sometimes when I'm on Mojo, and I just put my phone on, further away from me.
Yeah.
Where-
Yeah,
That's a big time waster.
yeah, huge.
I think today, day and age, and that's what we were talking about, is the phone is the biggest distraction. Really, it's the most commonly used tool, but it's also the biggest distraction for us to do. So you know, and again, setting clear boundaries. When work is done, work is done.
Yeah,
I think you even getting that into the habit, sometimes we think, okay, we're doing more things and we're adding more. But when you're done with work, you're done with work.
yeah,
Like, don't leave work to go home to work. Yeah, that's the thing is, start outsourcing the tasks that you're not good at. I mean, when you can, because we're not good at everything. I hate paperwork. I hate paperwork, and it's like one of my main tasks.
yeah.
For
Thank
my
God the
job.
DOL didn't audit me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but don't try that. But no, but
I'm good. I'm
no,
good.
but speaking of, like,
I
Seems
love
like-
paying for that.
transaction
I
coordinator,
never pay.
great,
I just
do it.
submit
The
late
best
usually.
Between
Absolutely.
that and the gardener, I'm
You need your personal time, so when you actually do your work stuff, that becomes productive. But when you're done with work, you're done with work. When, you're done with a meeting, you set a meeting to 2 hours, you're done. Hey, thank you so much for meeting with me. I have another appointment. I don't mean to be rude. I need to move on to my next appointment. Because then you're like, oh, I can get to my next appointment in 30 minutes. Now you're late to your next appointment. You're doing this and that. I mean, that's the real world scenario. And sometimes I get it. You're not trying to be rude. But sometimes I'm like, hey, I have another appointment. I apologize.
clear boundaries.
Schedule. Yeah. Clear boundaries is super key in not only your work-life balance, but just making sure that you're following your schedule.
Yep.
When that time is, of course, sometimes you have a good call and the person's like, yeah, come over and list. I want to list with you, and then you're like, not trying to rush the person, but hey, why don't we continue this conversation when I see you in person? Unfortunately, I have another, I'm really enjoying this conversation, but unfortunately, I have to move on to the next thing. I don't think people find that rude. They're like, I'm so enjoying this conversation. I wish I could continue on right now. I told my other client, like, I wouldn't do that to you and keep you waiting. So I'm gonna move on to.
I've had a few desperate scenarios where I had to just hang up when people call back. They say, "Oh, sorry, we got disconnected."
That's what I'm saying. I think,
Literally.
To interrupt the pattern.
I was just like 1 hour on the phone, I'm done.
and our job is to be polite and courteous and to really engage, right? So sometimes it's hard having that engagement, but practicing that and really cutting off and honoring your time is super important. Staying consistent, and we talked that a little bit about that is, surround yourself with accountability systems. Like, your phone is as dangerous as it is to be distracted by it. The phone is great too. I put, just on your phone, you can put alarms on it. It tells you, it schedules you, and it says, hey, especially the important things and things I have to get done, I set alarms on my phone to say, hey, you need to move on to the next task. You need to do X, Y, Z. Social media is obviously that we talked about that in depth right now. That is a big, big distraction, especially since it's so, near and dear to us. But if you're setting clear goals and you know what things you need to get done during the day, you're going to automatically start going, no, I need to get off of Instagram. I need to get onto the next goal. But if you don't have it on paper, or you don't have it on a calendar, or you don't have any sort of accountability around it, you're never going to get it done.
Yeah.
It's just going to be like, oh, my marketing, I'll do it sometime this week. That's not good enough. Tuesday, 9:15 a.m., I'm going to work on it for 45 minutes. Every week, I'm going to execute it on Wednesday from 2 to 4. And Friday, I'm going to take all the videos that I need to take care of. That's truly, because now you can hold yourself accountable to it, like we were talking about. So, being flexible, flexibility is key. Here's the other thing that we do. And agents will come to me and, here's my calendar. It's jammed. There is zero flexibility from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. There's no even time to travel.
It's not realistic.
It's not realistic.
Yeah, and when you realize it's not realistic and you get off something, you feel like crap about it and you get off your whole schedule and just off of your goals and you reset again.
But it goes back to what we talked about earlier. Yeah, you're not doing achievable goals that you are rewarding yourself. You don't feel accomplished. You don't
Yeah.
feel like, again, all these goals and schedulings have to be realistic and accomplishable.
Yeah,
If not, we're not doing anything. We're just basically just in the hopes and dreams that we're gonna get it done. And so when you have a jam-packed schedule, there's no flexibility to take the call that your client called and said, hey, I want to put an offer in on the house. I want to do this and that. So and I'll show you guys my schedule. But I allow big gaps in time sometimes, 30, 40 minutes. And during that time, I'm just filling it with other things that I need to do or
okay.
getting ahead of my schedule. Because I know the goals are what goals we have for the month. Again, and it goes back, do the like when you really are doing this, right? If you set out your week, you already kind of.
Yeah,
You can do this on a Google Calendar, but sometimes.
it's
people
better
like
to do it on paper first.
Yeah. Start
Do
from
it on your planner when you see the plans,
yeah, we're starting from the year, right? You're putting your monthly goals together. You can do a monthly calendar like this, and I can send another one out that has the monthly that I do. So now you know what you need to get accomplished.
Yeah, that'd be good.
You have a client event on the 22nd. Great, we're gonna start working on the few things I can get ready for it on week 1 of November. And then week 2 of November, I'm gonna go buy all the things that I need to. Week 3, I'm setting it up. By the 4th week, when you get to that client event, you have everything ready. You're just taking it to the place, you're setting it up, all the invitations have been sent, everything's been done. But if you don't take that world view of what you need to get accomplished for your year, then breaking it down to the month and then to the week, you're never gonna get anything done. Or it just always is gonna feel like you're rushed,
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah, if you could send that monthly thing.
yeah, I'll send it out too. So making sure that in that time frame you have that flexibility to move up and down, right? Because the real world scenario is my client wants to make an offer. I want to go see this house right now.
Yeah.
My client call and wants a CMA. The client took an hour explaining to me what's going on and it's an important call. So, it fell right into my time where the marketing happened. Great, now I'm moving that to the empty time slot that it has, my marketing, but that still has to get done that week. Whatever those goals are, that task has to get done that week, regardless.
Yeah.
Or move to somewhere that's reasonable. Make sense? So. Track it, I gave you guys a daily goal tracker if you guys want, so. On that daily goal tracker, track it. I mean, sometimes I've just gotten to the point where I just write it down on a little pad. And I put all the tasks I have to get done that day, and at the end of the day, I see them all crossed out. And what I didn't get done, I just write it as a daily goal for the next day.
And the next day, yeah.
And then just write it down, because when I walk in the next day, because I made that part of my routine, like we talked about, the first things I need to get done, those are the 3 items that get done first.
Yeah.
And it's just rotating. Maybe this never ends. If you see the piece of pad I have on my desk, that thing never ends. It always just is rotating, but I rewrite it every week. I just rewrite it and I have it ready and I apply it. And you can use a combination of digital and paper, but I personally like digital and paper. So
I use the notes on the phone.
everybody has their method of it. If you see that I would talk too much about the method to use, these are just tools. Everybody just has that methodology on how to get to that. You know, if you're a paper person, do it all on paper. I don't care. The thing is that it gets done.
Sticky notes, we love. Yellow.
I love sticky notes. I love sticky notes, so how to physically do it. All right, so this is where we're gonna get to the nitty gritty on how to actually execute what we're talking about, so. Put it in your calendar, take time to set up and maintain your system. That's the first thing. That's the first thing, that's where we start. Put it on a sheet like this. And then set up a time where you're going to set your monthly goals up based on your yearly goals. Your weekly goals, and then put it on a calendar. Like, what are your routines? I wake up, I go to feed the dog, work out, and get my affirmations in, etc., etc. Okay, that's your routine. That's something you're gonna do every day. I have to take my son to practice every day. I have to, cover for my husband that goes to work. I have
So
to,
you're really combining personal with business?
well, it has to be, because the reality
life.
is beforehand, the old methodology used to be, here's the old methodology. Put all your work schedule in. But then it didn't account for that you have to go
It's
run.
life gets in the way.
Yeah, so I personally do it backwards. I set up what I have in my life first. I put it all on my calendar and my routines. Then, after we set up what you do in your life and everything else, now you really know what time you have for your business. Whether you need to expand your time on business and your work-life balance, that's another debate we can talk about, but first of all, be realistic about what your everyday goal is. Like, what do you have to do? Then go ahead and get your big work goals in. So I do two client events a year. One's going to be in June and one's going to be in October. Great. That goes in the June and October schedule already. That makes sense? I do 4 networking events every month. Great. What days are those in? That goes in the calendar already. I do client lunches every week. I do 2 client lunches every week. Okay, what days are they gonna be? Tuesdays and Thursdays. Great, fill those out. So as we start filling these things in, now you know those are the big rocks or the big goals that you had. I do 200 calls a week. I do 50 a day. I take every day from 10 to 12, I do these calls. Great, that goes in that schedule all the way across. I do 5 open houses a week. Great, what days do I do open houses? I do them Wednesdays and Fridays, 5 to 7, and then on Saturday from 10 to 12. Or 10 to 1 o'clock, whatever that is. Now you put those. Now you're looking at what leftover time we have. Okay, marketing. I'm gonna work on marketing on Mondays. I'm gonna do the execution of that marketing plan on Wednesdays. And on Fridays, I'm gonna actually do the video taking or sending my postcards out or doing the marketing out. But do not mix the plan with the execution. So now when you're looking at it from a month view, these are the big things I have to get done during the month. And on the weekly basis, we're now starting to shrink it to daily activities and tasks. And then the scheduling piece comes into place because all the empty slots, now you know where the empty slots are. Oh, okay, yeah, I would like to schedule the inspection on Thursday at 4 o'clock, because you have an empty space. Or I have time Friday at this time from this space to this space. Oh, I can show my clients' houses from 5 to 6. Because you've pre-thought about it already. So now you're just not running around for no reason.
Yeah,
There's a rhyme and reason for your calendar. Choosing your tools. Like I said, if you want to do something between a physical calendar, like written down and digital, that's great. That's how I personally do it. But really
Like
whatever
great
you're
things about
comfortable.
Notion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
me too. I've seen them around.
Somebody told me a younger.
It's just like CMA, it's CRMs. It's what you use. It doesn't matter. I personally believe in paper still, but people think I'm old fogey now, but that's fine. I don't care. I use paper, but that's how I use it, but I use a combination of paper and calendar and it works just fine. Yeah, assign your time blocking effectively, specific meaning for deep work, again, what we talked about, and then leave enough time for buffer time for, mental rest. Color code, I'll show you guys, my calendar, prioritize and balance. Let me see if I can. Let me see. Here, I'll show you guys in a little bit. So we'll review and readjust. So, recalibrate regularly your schedule, making sure you're staying on track. If things are getting under prioritized or overlooked, just reprioritize them. I think we always don't do what we don't like, and we always leave it for the next day or everything else. The way I've tackled that personally is just do the things that you don't like first and foremost. Just do the things that are hard first and get it out of the way. Again, I'll give you an example. This morning I had to do auditing on some books. That's the first thing I did and got it out of the way because I hate doing it. It's the one thing I detest. I don't like doing it, but I just got it out of the way. I did it and moved on and I felt accomplished. And I'm like, okay, the rest of the day now feels easy because you did the task that was the hardest first. So just do those things. For some of you, the struggle might be social media, taking videos, whatever that is, just tackle it first and move on. Consistent. So the consistency is the hardest part. If you get down your routine first, and which is what we talked about, is if you create a routine that works for you, first and foremost, it will help you with your scheduling. It will help you with your SMART goals. It'll help you develop that discipline that you need in order to have a really productive day. And weeks which lead into getting to your goals.
Yeah.
The old school method is just like be busy, stay busy, you'll get to your goal. It's true, you will. But if you base it around what your life is, then really getting to your eventual goals and basing it on your goals from the bigger rocks to the smaller rocks, it'll really help you get to the results that you're looking for. And with that, yes, sir.
There's a distinction between activity and accomplishment. Okay. How do I decide what I need to do versus what I like to do in terms of putting my schedule together? There's a lot of things I like to do, so I could easily interpret that as being my big rocks. But what happens when I focus too much on those types of things? I'm not focused on the things I need to be doing.
So, and we talked about that at the beginning. So
Yeah.
really, the big thing about that is that we are looking at the overall goals of all of it. First of all, so like you were saying, big rocks first. These are things that are gonna need to get done. Getting the tasks that you need to eliminate, that you don't like doing, first and foremost during the day, and time blocking, and making sure that's on the calendar. Accounting, look, paperwork.
How do I decide what I need to get done? I think a lot of agents just kind of like, I do stuff because
Oh,
I do stuff.
and that's what we were saying about the SMART goals is you have to base it all on your goals. If you need to do 10 deals a year and part of your business plan is incorporating your business plan and doing the things that you like, creating flyers or doing marketing or like you said, things that you don't like doing on a daily basis, but just have to get done, you have to time block for it.
So I can't do any of this until I have a business plan.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the business plan is everything, like we were saying when we started. Everything is based on your business plan from the yearly point of view, breaking out to monthly. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying is if you know you have two client events, like I was saying, two client events during the year. You need one in June and one in October. You put that in there. Sure. But you start preparing for that client event a month ahead of time. If you don't see that vision, there's no way you can get to what your daily tasks are and doing the things. See, the methodology is doing it in small increments. So it doesn't feel overwhelming. If you start doing it in increments that are just like, oh, I have a client event this month. And I don't really like doing client events, but I know it's kind of one of the things I have to do. Then you're just pushing it all like on 1 week and then it's miserable. Or you don't do it and you're like, oh, I didn't have the turnout, I'm just gonna skip. Now you skip. Now you skip a big major part of what your goals are, right? So you have to be deliberate about how you do that, right? And you have to be consistent in doing the things that you don't like in small batches as opposed to and specifically putting it on your calendar, which is what we talked about a little bit. Is because if not, you're never gonna run. Yeah. And I see it in my example of this morning, I really did something I truly hate. I hate auditing books. But I had to do it. I audited the books this morning. I came in early and I specifically did it. And I did it as a first task
Feels good to get out of the way.
and get it out of the way because then you feel accomplished. So
In the front.
in the front, yeah, because they're not, those are things that you don't get done. And then, yeah, I'll share my calendar with you here. Hold on, let me stop sharing here. Two, three. Well, I'll share my calendar with you. I'll